Hey everybody. I've been looking at a lot of things in the news and a lot of stuff, about politics and just different things like that. And this I think they have a Democrat that's the mayor of Miami right now. And they said that, Democrats haven't won, you know, Miami in a long time. I mean, I might be sort of off on what I'm saying, but I think I'm correct on what the news has been saying. Well, anyway, you know, I would just say with what's going on in some of these elections in these different, states in America, Republicans have to really start stepping their game up. And I've said this in another podcast, but Republicans sitting back and getting cocky and thinking, oh, well, you know what? The Democrats are doing such a bad job that people aren't going to vote for them. Like now, when you turn on the TV, you're seeing Democrats start to win elections in some of these, states. And sitting back, getting cocky, thinking, oh, well, you know what? Donald Trump, he's some kingmaker that, anyone he endorses is going to win. Those days are over. Because in Miami, Donald Trump, I think he endorsed the other guy, I forget his name, but this woman who's a Democrat ended up winning, and by at least a sizable margin. And so it should be a wake up call for a lot of Republicans. Like some of these states that you'd say, oh well, these are states where they normally vote Republican. We might be surprised what happens in 2028 in some of these elections and stuff, or even the midterm elections that are coming up. And so the whole just because somebody's in Florida or Georgia doesn't mean anything anymore. Like Republicans can still lose elections in those states. And also, I think in Florida, from what I was hearing on the internet, I've heard something where people said some people who are Republican voters decided not to even vote. I mean, that's just what I heard from the internet. I don't know if it's true, but I mean, if it is, can you blame some of those voters? Some of these voters are like, their rent is high, their bills are high, and for the president to come out and say, oh well, affordability is something that the Democrats, it's a hoax and all this other mess, or however he talks about affordability, instead of saying, well, you know what, the Democrats have a point, I need to do better on this. Every time the Democrats say, this is how the American people are feeling, he'll sit up and say, no, the Democrats are just making this up to make me look bad. Like, no, people really are concerned about affordability. And, he can be in his bubble if he wants, as far as thinking that, nobody else has any good ideas about fixing the economy, but it's going to backfire in probably the midterms. Like Donald Trump needs to wake up and start listening to the American people again. I mean, even if you look at the tariffs, one moment, oh, we're going to put a tariff on all these countries, and this is going to be a great day for America. And then another moment, he's pulling the tariffs back, and they're doing this, and they're changing that at the last moment. And it's just like, he can't keep on doing something and then taking credit for, changing it at the last minute. And so, one thing I've noticed with Donald Trump, he never likes to be wrong. And it's sort of like one of the, what do they say, the Achilles heel? Like when a person, they say the Achilles heel when they're talking about a person that, something that's not their strength or whatever, when people use that term. And for Donald Trump, it's just like he does not, he always thinks he's correct. And I'm talking from the perspective of someone that's voted for him. Like he needs to get back to listening to his base, listening to the people that voted for him. People are saying they need help. He should, instead of saying, well, the Democrats are just saying certain stuff to make me look bad, he should say, you know what, American people are talking about affordability. Well, let me run on that and let me make some policies so I can fix the, housing crisis and certain things like that is happening in America. But instead, it's just like he always has to talk from the position of him, always being correct. And so, maybe that strategy will work, but I'm looking at some of these elections that are going on. Plus, you have the midterms coming up, and Democrats might do very well. Anything could happen, but if the Republicans don't perform well when we have the midterm elections, then that'll be a huge indicator of whether people like these policies or not. And so if Republicans, and it's crazy because in the beginning, after the election, when Donald Trump was elected, I mean, Republicans were, the confidence was high. People were like, man, Donald Trump is doing a good job. He's working hard. And now you see the Republican Party start to, one side is saying he's not America first. This side is saying he's trying his best. Like, you're starting to see the certain coalitions dissolve that supported Donald Trump. And it's sad because everyone was excited. A lot of Republicans, even independents, even some Democrats switched over, and they were excited about Donald Trump and his election and, the Make America Great, just members and slogan. Everyone was just like on board. And now it's all over the place. So he's really got to get back to keeping some of his promises, because the American people aren't stupid. I mean, we have the internet. So it's more than just mainstream media. Now people have the internet where they're like, you know what? Let me see how high inflation is. Let me look up grocery prices. And so the whole just believe me type of thing, that's not going to work in 2025. And so my message to Republicans is, do not get cocky. Don't think that, don't think the Democrats are doing such a bad job that they're not going to win elections in the future. And then also, not saying this is going to happen, but you got the next presidential election in 2028. Donald Trump can't run again. And so who's to say that J.D. Vance is going to even win? Like J.D. Vance, people might say, well, you know what? He's so connected to Donald Trump. We want somebody new. Like, anything can happen in 2028. And so, Republicans thinking, oh, we got this in 2028. They're just going to put out Gavin Newsom, and no one likes Gavin Newsom. No. Again, he might not be popular, and Gavin Newsom is a bad governor in some respects, but like I say, you know how elections go. Anything could happen. I mean, who thought Barack Obama was going to win when he ran against Hillary and all these other establishment folks? So anything could happen. Somebody that we don't even expect can run on the Democrat side and actually, win to be president. Especially, now we're in a time where a lot of these Latinos and Hispanics are not happy about Donald Trump's immigration policies. And so, the Republicans really got to refocus and step their game up, because in these elections that are coming up, and, how people are feeling right now, the Democrats are very energized. Like, the Democrats right now are like, you know what? Now's our opportunity. And so that's just my take on everything. I'm rambling, but in the comment section, let me know how you feel about just the Republican Party right now in 2025. Thank you.